guys? It's so nice to have you here again. It's your favorite nurse talented and your sweet mouth nurse. I am so glad to have you guys here again. If you're a first timer here, you're welcome. We're all about nursing education, we're all about health education, nursing tutorials, and we're about you. And if you're an old-time subscriber, thank you for coming back. You know I love you. A week is separated out of every year, which is May 6th to May 12th, to celebrate nurses all over the world. And this happens to be our Nurses Week. I am so happy. This is the only time we usually get celebrated, because most times nursing is like the most underrated profession in the world. Believe me, you. So today I'll be talking about why I chose to be a nurse. I want to tell my story. So I'll be doing a very short video. Why do I always say short video? But I'm doing a video on why I chose nursing. So please stay with me, guys. The story about why I chose to do nursing, or the reason why I decided to be a nurse, is actually a very lengthy one. And there are actually different reasons, different occasions, different events and accidents that put together, and I decided to do nursing. So it's really going to be a long one. So I guess you should probably grab a drink and probably popcorn or a snack, something to snack on while we get on this. First off, my mom is a nurse, Miss Igbafem Regina Ikoja. She's a retired nurse. She retired as a chief nursing officer. My mom is the best nurse I know, but her being a nurse was not my number one reason for wanting to be a nurse. I was born into a family of 5. I'm the last born, the honorable last born. I have 1 sister and 3 brothers. My sister is way older than me. She's over 11 years older than me. So growing up, we did not have a lot of... The age difference was so much that we could not really play a lot together. My immediate elder brother is just a year and some months older than me. He would say 2 years, but I agree, he's 2 years older than me. So we're of the same age group and we had a lot in common. And my other brothers, the other 2 brothers, they were really a playful type. And our next door neighbor, she had 4 sons. So it was basically just me and 7 boys around. So what would you expect a girl to do? I had to play football with them. We jump around. You know how guys can be. You know how young guys can be with playing roughly and all of that. Most times when we're playing football in the compound or just this basic 5-a-side and all, they usually keep me in the goalpost because I'm a girl. I don't have the strength to actually dribble with them and do all of that. Most times I'm usually in the goalpost, except there's an extra person. They will not pity me and say, today come and play inside. But usually I'm in the goalpost. And most times once they score a goal, I feel bad. I feel it's because I'm not powerful enough. That is why they scored the goal. So most times once they score the goal, I'll tell them to excuse me, that I want to go and take power. My mom had this bag of drugs because she's a nurse, just emergency drugs, just in case it's needed at home or neighbors need emergency medication or something. So whenever they score a goal, I will go into a drug bag, can carry 1 drug and take, because I want power. I feel whenever I take a drug, I get strength and I get power. It was psychological though, but I felt like it really did work. It made me begin to question, how do these drugs really work? Why do you take a drug when probably you're having headache? That drug literally passed through your mouth down to your stomach. But how does it then stop the headache in your head? The drug is not going to your head. How does it happen? How do people get really sick? They eat good food, they don't get better. But then when one drug enters that same stomach that food is entering, the person gets better. I had a lot of questions on how the body works. Most times I used to ask my mom, why am I able to lift my leg when I want to? Like, why don't I say a command for the leg to listen and go up? Why does everything just happen the way it happens? I was always curious of how the body works in unity, how you don't have to write a command or give a verbal command for your body to do what it ought to do. So that curiosity was actually one of the things that made me know that I was going to go into a medical course. And mind you, all these questions I had was before I was 7. This was between the age of 5 to 7. I had a lot of curiosity about medicine, and I was already wondering, what can I actually be? What can I do to actually gain this knowledge on how the body works and how everything in your body is the way it is? Because the way God created us, it's awesome. That awesomeness made me wondering and increased my curiosity. After my 5 years birthday, I got a toothache. I think one of my tooth got decayed, and I had to go to work with my mom for them to have the tooth removed. But she was on morning shift then. Even if the tooth was removed earlier, I had to stay with her till it was 2 so we could go home together. And then she was working in the accident and emergency department in General Hospital in Benue State back then. So when I was done from the dentist, she came to pick me up, took me to accident and emergency. As busy as the place was, her colleagues were very, very welcoming. They bought me a lot of things, even if I could not eat with this tooth. I was eating it from this side. They bought me a lot of things. They put me on their table to sit down. I was on their nurse's table. When I saw emergencies coming in, it was not so much of serious cases though, but there were certain people that came that looked really sick. I remember one person in particular that came and they were shouting that he could not breathe and things like that. I could see my mom and other nurses running up and down to actually resuscitate the person. I didn't actually understand what was going on then, but what caught my attention or what really amazed me was the fact that, like, after 30 minutes, this man was fine. He was gisting with his family, he was gisting with his friends, and they're already saying he can actually go home if he wants to. I didn't know much about what death was, but at least I know people die. And I saw somebody who it looked like he was at the point of death. And how come in such a short time he could be so well that he could go home, he's so well that he could actually be talking with his family and friends, he can eat, his life is back to normal. It was really amazing. When we went home that day, I asked my mom, what happened to that man? I can't really remember the diagnosis she gave to me then because I was small to I was still young to understand all those ambiguous medical terms. She actually did told me the diagnosis, but I didn't put it at the back of my mind. But in the long and short, she gave a brief explanation of what they did and how the man became better. I wasn't understanding it. I just don't get it. How can somebody snap from level 0 to level 10 in such a short time? I haven't witnessed anything like that. Aside the transformation, something else that caught my attention was the fact that these nurses were able to bring smiles to the faces of the family members of that patient. I saw the expression when they came, and I saw the expression when they were leaving. It was two opposite things. I told my mom that I'm actually happy the way they helped that patient, and I would actually like to help people like that. She now said, it's a good thing. And I asked her, do nurses know how the body works? She said, yes, they do. I asked her, do nurses know how drugs work? She said, yes, they do. And I asked her, why is it that when somebody takes paracetamol for headache and the paracetamol goes into their stomach, the headache stops and all? She told me I was too young to understand. But I told her when I grow up, I want to be somebody who understands the body and drugs, and I also want to help people. And she told me that the perfect profession for that would be nursing. I don't know, some people would say she probably said that because she was a nurse. But I thank God she gave me that advice and I stuck to it. Fast forward, I think at the age of 6, NAM, National Association of Nurses and Midwives, I think they did a conference, a seminar, something like that in the town where we're staying then. My mom was one of the nurses that attended, and they gave them a souvenir frame. God, I am not at home. I would have loved to show this frame because I've kept the frame for so long, but I didn't move it to be made to Abuja. They were given a frame, and on the frame it was written, "Nursing is caring. I am proud to be a nurse." When my mom brought that frame home, I was so excited. It was like that souvenir was given to me. I've been holding on to that souvenir for years, and since after that time, from that very young age, once anybody asks me, what do you want to be, from the age of 6, what do you want to be? I want to be a nurse. And when they ask me, why would you want to be a nurse? I just always tell them, nursing is caring. That's why I want to be a nurse. Until I was old enough to actually explain to people why I really wanted to be a nurse. Number 2 reason why I wanted to be a nurse. When I went to secondary school, usually most secondary schools then, JSS1 to 3, you do the junior subject. When you get to SS1, my secondary school, then when you get to SS1, you do both science and art subject. That will determine if you're going to be a science student in SS2, or you're going to be an art student or a social science student, whichever one. It depends on your grade from SS1. SS1, you do all the subjects together. When I was seeing what further math looks like, what physics looks like, what chemistry looks like, I was like, what? I don't think I can be a nurse. So, I was thinking maybe I'll go and do something easy. I was thinking of maybe fashion designing or something. I started telling myself different stories, reasons why I cannot be a nurse. It was not a stable feeling though. Deep down in me, really, I still wanted to be a nurse. Sometimes I say I want to be a nurse. Sometimes I tell myself I want to go into fashion designing. I haven't started tearing papers and learning how to design lists. Just because of the fear of physics and chemistry. But some things happened in school back then. Back then in secondary school, I used to be a sports person. I was an athlete and I was good at long distance races. That's what I'm actually popular in school for. But somehow, I became very, very sick. I was getting a lot of abdominal pain and epigastric pains, and I went through a lot. We were going for a lot of tests, a lot of treatment, and the diagnoses were always different, and that's the most frustrating thing. If we go to hospital A, they'll tell my mom this is what's wrong with me. We'll go to hospital B, they'll say this is what is wrong. We'll go to hospital C. They kept giving us different diagnoses, and we were treating, and nothing was happening. And this continued for a very, very long time. It lasted for, if I'm not mistaken, it lasted for like 7-8 years before we finally got the right diagnosis of what it was, and it got treated. In between these 7 years, it was hell. There was one time it was actually a doctor said it was kidney problem. One said it was growth in the kidney. They were outrageous diagnoses that I could not even comprehend. That also made me determined that I really, really wanted to be a nurse. I really wanted to be able to help people when they are most vulnerable. And that's why right now, I think, although I joke a lot that I would like to specialize in psychiatric nursing for some reasons which are very funny, but I'm not going to tell that story today. But really, the specialty I love most right now in nursing is accident and emergency. Staying in accident and emergency, most times you see people coming at their most vulnerable states, and it's really fulfilling and satisfying seeing that people who come in their most vulnerable states are leaving the hospital happy, cheerful, and feeling really better. So that's all, guys. My reason for wanting to be a nurse was to understand the human body, understand how drug works, pharmacology, and also to be able to help people. Helping people should be capitalized and underlined. Yes, very bold with a very big font. Helping people is actually the soul aim of me wanting to be a nurse. Although knowing about the body and knowing about how drugs work was just like a preamble to the main reason why I wanted to be a nurse. But I can tell you this, I do not regret any bit of it being a nurse. I am really enjoying this profession, even if I've not been in it for a long time. But I love everything about it. I love the smile on people's faces when I attend to them. I love how I can help people be on their best health. I love how I can actually comfort people. I don't know how to say this, but nursing is the best profession, I tell you. So guys, thank you for watching this video, and please, I would also like to hear your reason for wanting to be a nurse, or even if you're not a nurse, I would like to hear your reason for choosing your profession and why you choose it. And please, while you're at that, do well to subscribe, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week. I love you. Bye guys. Are you still with me, guys? I forgot to add something very, very important that happened when I was young. Did I say young? When I was very little. So usually now, with the whole playing children when all your parents go to work, battalions of kids in our compound, the 8 of us were playing. And I really wanted to drink water. Kept telling my elder ones, I want to drink water, I want to drink water. My sister said, go to the kitchen, go and take water. So it was like I was disturbing her when she was playing. And you know this Ragolis bottle? I don't know. Some of this Indomie generation does not know Ragolis bottle. Like bottle water, the bottle. In those days when we use kerosene stove, we usually buy kerosene in those bottles. Wait. Something like this. We buy kerosene in bottles like this. And pour inside the stove. So usually it's still this kind of can. We pour water inside and put in the fridge. So when I said go and take water, actually I'm big enough to get myself water, so I went to the kitchen. This little girl here did not know that what was in this bottle in the kitchen was kerosene and no water. Once I just saw the bottle, I assumed I had seen water. The funny part was, I opened it. I did not smell it. I poured everything inside my mouth. I drank the whole kerosene before they came and saw that I drank kerosene. They gave me plenty red oil to drink. Plenty red oil. The long and short of the whole story is that they started calling me Fit Kero. Until today, some of my neighbors then still call me Fit Kero. So, for the fear of drinking kerosene and dying, is another reason why I want to become a nurse.